One of the hottest topics this offseason with Texans fans is, should the Texans get Le'Veon Bell? I feel like the fan base is literally divided 50-50 when it comes to should the Texans get Le'Veon Bell. Now, there's a lot of good arguments for both sides, getting him and not even going after him. And we're going to take a look at both sides of the argument. And at the end of the video, after, dropping that like and hitting that sub button, if you haven't subbed already, I want you guys to comment down below your own opinion on if the Texans should get Le'Veon Bell or not. Now, there's a lot of good arguments for both sides, like I said. But there is one argument that I will absolutely not accept. And this is, we don't need Le'Veon Bell because Lamar Miller is good. I will not accept that. I won't. Lamar Miller is not good. Lamar Miller is average at best and can be good or above average with a good offensive line. But as you can see, we're currently not in that position, so we'll keep getting the same inconsistent Lamar Miller. If the O-line stays the same Miller that, he'll have a 100-yard game, and then the next 4 games he'll fail to even reach 60 yards rushing. And I think it's time to maybe not move on for Miller, but we definitely need to at least bring in someone that can share some carries with Lamar Miller, because Lamar Miller is not a featured back. He's not a guy who can handle 20 carries a game. Hopefully that can be Foreman, but the Achilles injury kind of put that into question. So now, first let's look at the pros to signing Le'Veon Bell. Number one, it improves the Texans' run game. Obviously, the Texans' run game, and it's inconsistent. There was 6 or 7 games last season where the Texans' run game was downright dominant. And the other, 10 games, if you count the playoff game, it was ugly. Non-existent. There was literally no in-between. It was either good for that stretch of 6 games or terrible those other games. And I think Le'Veon Bell can help that, as Le'Veon Bell is one of the more consistent backs in the league. And the next thing, he adds another weapon for Deshaun Watson. Le'Veon Bell, obviously, one of the big things about Le'Veon Bell is he's also a huge receiving threat. I believe he had 3 seasons with over 70 receptions, and all of them equal to above 600 yards. So he definitely would add another weapon for Deshaun Watson to throw to, and the more weapons the better. All around, Le'Veon Bell is a better runner and a better receiving back than Lamar Miller or any other running back currently on the Texans roster. And another thing Le'Veon Bell is better at than Lamar Miller is pass protection. I think this is very important because Lamar Miller and Alfred Blue were both asked to kind of stay back sometimes and help protect Deshaun Watson, and there were some times where Lamar Miller more than Alfred Blue, but Alfred Blue also is guilty of doing this, where they would completely miss their block. Le'Veon Bell, he's a bigger back, a stronger back. He would hardly ever miss blocks when he was protecting Big Ben, and I think that would really benefit keeping Deshaun Watson standing up. Now, next thing, it improves the red zone offense. You guys know, all season long, we had some red zone issues. We'd get the ball down there and had to kick a field goal. In between the 20s, we were pretty fine. But once we got down there, windows got tighter. Deshaun couldn't, fit the ball in sometimes, or you just want to see the wide open players. Well, if you have Le'Veon Bell, obviously you could just hand the ball off and he can make something happen. Similar to how we used to do with Arian Foster. You guys remember during the Arian Foster era, the Gary Kubiak era, we drive down the field, turn around, hand the ball off to Arian Foster, and watch him go to work. So you could do the same thing with Le'Veon. Le'Veon is a very talented back. He is a very good running back, so he could help out the Texans all that much. Not only that, Deshaun Watson wouldn't have to throw as much because now he has a featured back who can carry the ball or touch the ball, receiving and rushing 25 times a game, around there, 20 to 25 times. So you don't have to throw the ball as much, meaning you don't have to get hit as much, and then it just opens up the play action, making things easier for Deshaun Watson. Now, the last benefit I see in signing Le'Veon Bell is he can close out the games. Like sometimes late in the game, you guys remember Seattle incident back in 2017, the New England incident back in 2017 as well, where the Texans were kind of in position to win those games, but offensively the running game couldn't get anything going, so they were unable to close out those games. If you get Le'Veon Bell, it makes things much easier, and the Texans can close out games easier. And another good example of this is when the Texans played the Colts this past season in 2018 in Indianapolis, Week 4. Well, the Texans had that game pretty much in the bag. They were blowing them out, but the Texans let them back in the game. And with Le'Veon Bell, well, that's probably not going to happen because you just turn around, hand the ball off to him, and watch him grind out the game. Okay, so those are all the pros, or, the positives of signing Le'Veon Bell. Now, here are the cons, or, the negatives. Okay, the first one. He's crazy expensive. Le'Veon Bell is projected to want around $16 million a year. Typically, running backs, they don't get that. For example, Lamar Miller currently is getting $6 million. Of course, Le'Veon Bell is leagues ahead of Lamar Miller. But Lamar Miller is one of the higher paid running backs in the league, and he's making around $6 million. And Le'Veon wants $16 million? That's $10 million more than Lamar Miller. Yikes. Okay, the next thing. He hasn't played in a year, so is Le'Veon Bell in football shape? I 100% believe Le'Veon Bell is in shape. I don't think Le'Veon Bell sat on the couch eating Fritos this whole past season. I think Le'Veon Bell, he's an athlete. He was probably working out, but there's a difference between being in shape and being in football shape. If you ever played football, you know what I'm talking about. Now, the next thing. He does have a suspension history. He's been suspended before for marijuana. So, there's that. Literally, I think if he gets suspended one more time, I think his next suspension is a 10-game suspension. So, do you really want to risk that? Pay $16 million for a guy who can possibly get suspended and then will miss a good chunk of the season. Now, the next thing. This Texans offensive line is garbage. So, would it really matter who our running back is if our offensive line can't open up the holes for him? As special as Le'Veon Bell is, he's going to need some help. And in Pittsburgh, he had all the help he needed from that offensive line. I mean, look at last year. James Conner replaced Bell. He balled out. James Conner gets hurt. Jalen Samuels comes in, a rookie, and he balls out. So, is Le'Veon Bell really that special, or is it that offensive line? Maybe we should be investing on an offensive line instead of a Le'Veon Bell. Now, the next thing, and also the last thing, he does have some miles on him. I mean, last time he played, he had over 400 touches. And he has another season with almost 400 touches. So the Steelers have definitely been using him a lot. And, you know, not every running back is an Adrian Peterson who can constantly take the beating like that. Not every running back's going to play 10 plus years. So how much time does Le'Veon Bell have? You know, at some point, players' bodies start wearing down, all that wear and tear. And Le'Veon Bell, like I said, he has a lot of miles on him. So you never know when that might happen. So you definitely gotta be careful. Okay, so that's pretty much all the arguments I have seen or I can come up with for both sides of the coin. You know, you either want Bell or you don't. Fan base is split in two. And now that you've heard both sides of the argument, comment down below. What do you guys think? After hearing both sides, do you think the Texans should A, sign Le'Veon Bell, or B, not even look his way? So comment down below. Be sure to like the video, subscribe if you haven't done so already, click that little notification bell so you don't miss a video. And yeah, thank you for watching, and I'll catch you guys later. Peace.